Hello! It's a season of plants and planting across the strategic parts of the country. The mega farmer is the NNPC, courtesy of the Gas and Power Investment Company, GPIC. The board chairman, Mr. Isiaka Abdulrazak, has been speaking about what's to be planted in the details, even as the corporation has perfected the art of following the money tenaciously. The faulty marketers are in for a hard time. More money matters still, but on the business side of things, 22.4% was petrol import of the nation's total in 2018. It's interesting to know the cost and other numbers. Plus, the other somewhat related stories of the charge for high scrutiny in NNPC's procurement process and factors influencing the oil market. They're not what you think they are, but you'll be surprised what they really are. Thanks for joining us. My name is Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
Under President Muhammadu Buhari, we've seen where there is fuel, you make a choice of where to buy fuel. You make shakara for them.
No panic to buy fuel for black market. NNPC go bring fuel for all motorists.
NNPC say them get fuel jabrata for ground. Saboteur. All of una wey dey tiff with fuel and petroleum station wey dey hot smuggle and divert our fuel go neighboring country. Plus people wey dey build small tank and sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre. Stop am o. Because why? Na big offense now. Na jail straight away. NNPC say our government no increase fuel price, na still 145 naira per litre. So therefore, no buy black market, no do panic buying. Enough fuel dey wey go round. Nigerians, if you see any petrol station where they sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre, kia report to the nearest security agency when near you or the Department of Petroleum Resources. Na Ndu Ohamadu, Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, NNPC, signed this message.
Stories we are tracking this week: fertilizer plants in Bras and additional power plants in Abuja, Kaduna, Kano to be built by the NNPC. 771 million naira forfeited assets recovered from defaulting marketers by the NNPC. It took forensic expertise to get this done. Default in NNPC's due process will attract stiff penalty. According to NNPC's GMD, OPEC says sentiment, speculation, rumors influence all markets. NNPC neither keeps up profitable numbers, and the GMD is excited. We got details of these and other stories coming. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Dr. Mikanti Baru, has warned management and staff of the corporation against any action that contravenes the provisions of the Public Procurement Act in the award of contracts, saying severe penalties are with any defaulter. The NNPC helmsman gave the warning at a supply chain management workshop for NNPC procurement managers, which held at the NNPC Towers, Abuja. A release by the corporation's Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Tandu Amadu, said Dr. Baru cautioned staff against contract splitting and accumulation, which he described as a deliberate act by procurement managers to subvert due process in the procurement process. He restated that the corporation's commitment to transparency in every aspect of its operations, stressing that all procurements and contract awards in the corporation under his watch so far have been carried out in conformity with the Public Procurement Act. To further deepen the culture of transparency in the corporation, the GMD directed the Supply Chain Management Division to step up its level of monitoring of the various tender boards within the NNPC for full compliance.
Too much is given, much is expected. And as such, issues related to consequence management is not something I'm going to play with.
The workshop was organized to sensitize procurement managers in the NNPC to the new procurement policies by the federal government.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has called for more bid rounds of oil licenses in African oil-producing states to increase oil and gas exploration activities on the continent. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Barrow, made this call during the just concluded International Petroleum Week in London. He advocated for bid rounds to be done at least every 5 years to promote more oil and gas exploration activities.
We know that most of the earliest discoveries in the African continent were based mostly on 2D seismic data. Now we have the complement of 3D and even 4D seismic data to go back to those producing areas and prove up deeper prospects and bypass using the advancements in technology that are available to us.
Dr. Barrow stated that increased African presence in the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, should be leveraged upon to push for greater exploration spends so that upstream reserves and growth is brought back on the agenda. He postulated that countries should ensure that there is a ring-fenced budget for exploration with a minimum spends prescribed for each operator in each country. To ensure sustained profitability of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC's shipping subsidiary, NIDAS, the NNPC Group Managing Director, Dr. Mekanti Barrow, has urged partners involved in the Direct Sale Direct Purchase DSDP scheme of the corporation to patronize the NNPC shipping subsidiary. Dr. Barrow handed down the advice to two of NNPC's relevant subsidiaries, Crude Oil Marketing Division, COMD, and the NNPC Trading Limited during his visit to the NNPC office in Hammersmith, London, where he met the staff of both the London office and NIDAS. DSDP is a scheme by which NNPC sells crude oil directly to offshore refiners and receive products from same in return. A release by NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Ndu Uhamadu, in Abuja said, the corporation's GMD, Dr. Mekanti Barrow, was elated by the giant profitability strides recorded by NNPC NIDAS no sooner than it launched into international freight business. He called on them to redouble their efforts towards sustaining the current tempo, which he said was in line with the profitability drive of the corporation. NIDAS Limited Managing Director Mr. Lawal Sade, who spoke during the visit of the GMD, lauded Dr. Barrow for his support and efforts in revamping the company, which he said, prior to the GMD's assumption of office, had been moribund.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has expressed its preparedness to build additional independent power plants (IPP) in Abuja, Kaduna and Kano, which is expected to add 4,000 megawatts of power to stabilize the national grid. The National Oil Company also disclosed that it would construct a fertilizer project in Bras, Bayelsa State. Chief Financial Officer of NNPC and Chairman of the Board of NNPC Power Subsidiary Gas and Power Investment Company GPIC, Mr. Isiaka Abdurazak, said this at the inaugural board meeting of GPIC at the NNPC Towers in Abuja. Mr. Abdurazak said the GPIC was established as a subsidiary under the Gas and Power Directorate to enable the corporation monetize the abundant gas resources in the country for the benefit of the nation's economy. Mr. Abdurazak said the GPIC was a very strategic company through which the NNPC would create more value for the country, stressing that by the time the IPPs come on stream in Abuja, Kaduna and Kano, the small and medium enterprises, SMEs in the areas will be better for it.
NNPC has set up a board who will provide policy thrust directives for this company to ensure that the company achieves its objective. So what we've done here today is to come up with a clear strategy for the company and how it will grow to achieve the potential that is set up for.
He said the setting up of the company would add value in terms of payment of taxes and generating more revenue for the country, stressing that the company and all the IPPs that would emanate from it would also generate more job opportunities for Nigerians. Mr. Abdurazak stated that the fertilizer project in Bras, Bayelsa State would produce fertilizer to boost agriculture in the South and other regions of the country. Speaking in similar vein, the Chief Operating Officer, Gas and Power, Engineer Saidu Mohammed, stated that the coming on stream of GPIC would help the NNPC transform into an integrated energy company with production of 4,000 megawatts of power at strategic locations.
We see NNPC's power plants coming in, not only providing more power, but stabilizing the entire grid and looking at the export market. So really, NNPC is going to take that opportunity from our strength of gas owners.
Engineer Mohammed disclosed that all relevant stakeholders in the power sector are in alignment with the NNPC with the establishment of the GPIC. The managing director of GPIC, Mr. Hussein El Yakubu, said the company is well equipped to establish its footprint in the power sector in the country.
Part of what we discuss is about funding and of course the industry agreements. Once these are placed, then I think construction is something that is straightforward.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has recovered assets worth over 771 million naira from some marketers who had underpaid for petroleum products supplied to them from Petroleum Products Marketing Company PPMC Kaduna Depot. The chairman of NNPC Anti-Corruption Committee, Mr. Mike Balami, said the committee, in collaboration with federal government intelligence and anti-corruption agencies such as the Department of State Security Services DSS, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC, and Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, recovered the assets from the defaulting marketers. Mr. Bellamy said NNPC Anti-Corruption Committee brought in forensic experts to uncover the shady deals by some of the marketers affected. He disclosed that some of the assets recovered include filling stations, water factories, and 6 sport utility vehicles, adding that forensic investigation would be extended to the other depots across the country to stop the bleeding of the national oil company. He noted that it was established that the affected marketers lifted petroleum products from the PPMC Kaduna depot without evidence of payment, and when confronted with the evidence, they admitted to the offense and failed to pay their liabilities.
We were able to find out from the records that we lost some money in that depot. There were cases about some of the marketers taking products and not making payment. So we had to serve all the marketers with the details of the transactions, and after some time, many of them have accepted it that our record was right.
He stated that NNPC Group Managing Director Dr. Mikanti Baru was passionate about stopping all the leakages in the corporation, stressing that the forfeited assets will be handed over to NNPC Corporate Asset Boarding and Disposal Committee (CABDC) for immediate disposal. Mr. Bellamy added that investigation into lifting of petroleum products without evidence of payment was continuing, urging all relevant stakeholders to support the NNPC Anti-Corruption Committee in its onerous task of recovering all its monies outside NNPC's system. He said that this was the first time that the NNPC would be taking over assets forfeited by marketers who defaulted in their terms of engagement. On his part, the chairman of NNPC Corporate Asset Boarding and Disposal Committee (CABDC), Architect Musa Hamza, said the committee would swing into action immediately and do the needful as required by the law.
The report and then the assets will be studied and then seen the values, because we know it's an issue of trying for future more like.
Earlier, the chairman of the investigation committee, Mr. Haruna Gwam, said the assignment was enormous, but with the commitment of the committee, they were able to deliver on their mandate.
The secretary of the committee and myself were the people that were involved in taking over of those properties. We went round, we snapped pictures, which I believe must have been given you. We just did a sufficient snapping so that even if it is tampered with, it will be known. Yeah.
The National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) said petrol imports accounted for 22.4% of the nation's total imports in 2018, up from 20.6% in 2017, 18.4% in 2016, and 17% in 2015. The Bureau noted that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has been the sole importer of petrol, otherwise called Premium Motor Spirit (PMS), for more than a year, as private oil marketers stopped importation due to a shortage of foreign exchange and increase in crude oil prices, which was said to have made the landing cost of the product higher than the official pump price of 145 naira per litre. PMS import, which averaged 56.5 million litres per day in January, jumped to a high of 86.4 million litres per day in February, according to the data obtained from the Petroleum and Products Marketing Company PPMC, a subsidiary of the NNPC. It stood at 66.8 million litres per day in March, 70.7 million litres per day in April, 36.7 million litres per day in May, and 34.5 million litres per day in June. It was 36.5 million litres per day in July, 58.4 million litres in August, and 57.8 million litres per day in September. An analysis of the data obtained from the PPMC and the Department of Petroleum Resources showed that petrol import averaged 55.1 million litres per day in the first 9 months of last year, compared to 48.5 million litres per day in the same period in 2016. PMS import averaged 49.2 million litres per day and 49.8 million litres per day in 2015 and 2016 respectively, DPR data showed. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has identified sentiment, speculation and rumors as major determinants of development in the global oil market. In his presentation at the 9th International Energy Agency, International Elephant Foundation and OPEC Symposium on Energy Outlooks in Saudi Arabia, OPEC's Secretary General Dr. Mohammed Barkindo stated that the oil market can often be subjected to forces which are not grounded in fact, especially at times of disconnect between prices and market fundamentals. Dr. Barkindo noted that sentiment, speculation and even rumors have been known to drive the market, stressing that the situation can be further complicated by computerized or automated trading, with algorithms, big data and artificial intelligence playing important roles. He said the energy outlooks are an antidote for this post-factual age, adding that the industry was currently under siege from multiple fronts. He said OPEC was conscious of the challenge of climate change, saying member countries continue to take appropriate policies, implement programs and projects to tackle the challenges of climate change. The OPEC scribe emphasized that the importance of energy efficiency and its great enabler, technological innovation, is germane to the growth of the global oil and gas industry. He noted that OPEC would always align with the values at the heart of the multilateral system and affirms absolute conformity between its activities and principles and the ideals of the United Nations.
We are better because we stand on the shoulders of giants. NNPC already is a giant, and I'm one that leads by example, and I'm proud to be standing on a platform which they made possible.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
Good evening and welcome to the feedback segment of the program. My name is Julia Auta. The oil and gas industry is the backbone of the Nigerian economy. On today's edition, our roving camera is on the streets to gauge the views of Nigerians on how the production of crude oil has impacted their lives.
The production of oil and gas in Nigeria has impacted the nation positively in terms of revenue generation. If you look at oil and gas, it's the major revenue earner for the country.
I think it has done a lot based on, at least I can cook with the gas, and then concerning petroleum, that's for transportation and all that, and I believe it has also contributed in any other sets of on the public use also.
The discovery of oil in our country has helped so far in the development of certain vital sectors of the economy that I cannot take away.
Crude oil generally has a lot of impact on every Nigerian, because this is where they derive the budget from, where we get roads, light and social amenities, whatever it is, schools and all these things.
Money from crude oil, even me personally, I'm benefiting because they are using it for the school, even the road we are walking, we are using, even in the hospital, so they are using it. Even me, I'm benefiting from it.
Interesting sound bites, you would say, and I'm sure the black gold has impacted their lives in so many positive ways. And that's it on this segment. Please stay with us for the rest of the program. Hello, delighted you could join us once again on yet another informative segment of the program. My name is Faith Ayuba. Did you know that the joint venture cash call arrangement is a funding business arrangement that allows the business partners to pool resources together with the intent of making profits? Did you know that in the Nigerian oil and gas operations, there are different types of JV arrangements in force, such as modified carried arrangements and strategic alliance, among others? Did you also know that Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited, SPDC, as a JV partner operates onshore and offshore of Nigeria? The joint venture between NNPC and Chevron Nigeria Limited is operated on 60 to 40% participating basis. Did you know that the joint venture between NNPC and Mobile Producing Nigeria Unlimited, MPNU, operates in shallow waters of Akwa Ibom State? Did you also know that the joint venture operated between NNPC and Nigerian Ajip Oil Company Limited, NAOC, mostly operates from small onshore fields? Now you know. Please don't go away as the rest of the program continues.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices crept up amid ongoing OPEC-led supply cuts and U.S. sanctions against exporters Venezuela and Iran. But the gains were capped by record U.S. crude output and rising commercial fuel inventories. Brent crude futures were at $66.12 per barrel, up 13 cents or 0.2% from their last close. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude oil futures were at $56.24 per barrel, up 2 cents. Prices are being supported by efforts led by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC and other countries, a group known as OPEC Plus, to withhold around 1.2 million barrels per day of oil, a strategy aimed at tightening markets. U.S. sanctions against the oil industries of OPEC members Iran and Venezuela have also had an impact, traders said. Venezuela's state-run oil firm, PDVSA, this week declared a maritime emergency, citing trouble accessing tankers and personnel to export its oil amid sanctions. Within the U.S. sanctions against Iran, Washington granted its biggest buyers, mostly in Asia, waivers when the measures were reintroduced in November 2018 that would allow them to buy limited amounts of crude for another 180 days. U.S. crude oil stockpiles rose much more than expected last week, with inventories up by 7.1 million barrels to 452.93 million barrels, according to a weekly report by the U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, Wednesday. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, said the world economy would grow 3.3% in 2019, down 0.2 percentage points from the OECD's last set of forecasts in November. And that's it on this segment of the program. I am Solomon Yopave.
The Group Managing Director of NNPC, somebody I call a bridge builder, somebody who have in his mind to repair all our abandoned assets.
That's been Oil and Gas Forum for this week. Plenty of takeaways as usual on the Oil and Gas Forum package. We hope you're spoiled for choice. Enjoy your week ahead. Bye now.